She's Victoria.
And together
we are the Kapampas. Good morning once again.
Our presentation today is entitled Praying and Working Together in the Family.
In the family, yes.
Okay. So, what is prayer? Prayer, we all know to say it is communicating with God. We're not going to go into so much details because I think we all know what prayer is. But we want to say through prayer, we usually receive our blessings, and through prayer, we keep in touch with God. As a couple, we are here to testify to you the power of prayer. We know as Catholics, we have a number of prayers. And of course, the most important one is Mass. But as a couple, we've come to discover to say there is also power in the Rosary.
Yeah, so before she goes into details, talking about the Rosary and the power that is in the Rosary, I want maybe to encourage the couples that as you pray together as a family, as a couple, when you get married, you should understand that your prayer life won't be at the same level when you get married, because we're coming from different backgrounds. Yeah, so you find that maybe the other spouse, maybe your wife, or like maybe slow down a bit on the terms of prayer. Maybe the husband will be much rooted into prayer. So like in our case, I was a bit reluctant when it comes to prayer. I wasn't very much rooted or firm. She was firm into prayer, so she would always encourage me to pray. So for those who have been married, say for 5, 10 years, 15 years, and you find that the other partner is not that prayerful, there is always a time, a turning point, so you don't have to give up, to continue encouraging each other.
Okay, so as we mentioned earlier, we're here to testify as a couple the power of prayer. We realize that God heals all diseases, and this we came to know when we had our firstborn daughter. This child had a persistent cough. The child could cough the whole night. When it was morning, she was okay and could go playing. Until one day, when it was too much, where a child could cough the whole night, even failing to breathe in the end. And then it just so happened that he said, bring the rosary. That time he didn't even know how to pray the rosary.
Yeah, I didn't know how to pray the rosary. In fact, the starting, how to start to pray the rosary, it was a bit tricky for me. But if someone starts for me, the other side I would flow nicely. So that's how I told her, can you start, then we'll pray the rosary. So basically I had faith, I had trust in the rosary.
Yeah, so we prayed the rosary together. By the time we were done, looking at where the child was fast asleep. And that's how she slept peacefully until morning. So it became a habit. Whenever he heard the child start coughing, it was like, Tenga Rosary. And it was like, it became our weapon.
The rosary worked very well for us, according to the way we understood it, because we tried all types of medication. At that time, I was working in a retail pharmacy. So I would get the best medication available to do with cough and allergies. But we tried all sorts of medicines, but it failed. By the time that we knelt down and prayed using the rosary, I think everything was sorted out. So every time there is a cough for the same child, we kneel down and pray the rosary.
Okay. So that was our first experience of God healing all diseases, because even medication had failed. So this, you can refer to Psalms 103, verse 2 to 3. Psalms 103, verse 2 to 3. God heals all diseases. Okay. So the other testimony we want to share with you is that there is always a benefit in prayer. Because of praying together, we've seen how God has helped us navigate through difficult moments. So for this one, we are going to refer to our second-born son. The time that we had this boy, the boy was born with a condition they call spina bifida, which is a condition that affects the spine failing to fuse properly. Depending on the part of the spine where it is, if it's in the lower back, the lower limbs would be paralyzed. If it's on the upper part of the spine, meaning the shoulder part downwards, both limbs, the upper limbs, the lower limbs would be paralyzed. And for this boy, it was a miracle because he had double, and doctors were surprised. So before we were discharged from the hospital, the doctor called for the father so that he could be cancelled, because doctors knew to say a lot of men abandon families when there is such a child in the family. So that counseling wasn't necessarily counseling, but more or less like, now say little because the explanation was that such children don't do anything. The child would not do anything, but you literally be lifting him from one point to another. That was explained to us, but I decided not to believe the doctor, and I called the father. And I sat down with him and I said, you know what? That is what this doctor has learned in the school of medicine. But for us, we shall wait for the report from above. I suggested we be praying. So we pray every day. I was at UTH, he was home. Every night, 01, whoever woke up first would beat the other so that we are both awake. And then we started praying. By the end of that period, we were in UTH, we were discharged, came back home. The child was really floppy. Floppy in such a manner that even the neck could not support the head. If we wanted the boy to be like upright, we had to hold the head. Okay? So, it so happened that one day, my mother was holding his head, because for him to be upright, as I mentioned, mom could just sit on the mat, put the boy between her legs, hold the head. So it so happened that I came back from work, and then mom just called me. Mama get chikurupiriro, bwana muone. Then reaching there, she let go of the head. I called the boy, chikurupiriro. Then he was able to turn. I was like, wow. I didn't say a word. I went into the bedroom and started praying, and I thanked God for that. You know what I said to God? I said, you are the God that has made this neck firm. Even the trunk, you are going to make it firm. And we continued praying. In the end, this boy started sitting. And eventually, the crawling was a challenge, but he eventually managed. As we speak right now, this boy is able to sit upright in a wheelchair, propel himself. If you put him in braces and give him a walking frame, he's able to make strides. This is what God has done in our family. God has really shown us that when you go to him crying, he listens and he answers. And that with God, what is impossible does not exist, because he is a God of impossibilities. So for this one, you can refer to Luke chapter 1, verse 37. Luke chapter 1, verse 37, which says God can do anything. You can also look at Matthew chapter 19, verse 26. Matthew 19, verse 26. Okay. So, looking at the benefits that we got from prayer, as our children grew older, we decided, no, I think we should not be praying just as a couple. We brought on board our children and we started praying with them in the evenings. We just gather them, we pray, either him or I lead, but eventually we started coaching them and they are able to lead prayers, that is in the evenings. They've come up with a schedule where each is able to lead every day. They lead in prayers, read the Bible, and we all share what would have been read. But of late, we decided to take a step further. We said, no, praying in the evenings, yes, it's okay, but then it's better to start the day with the Lord, to surrender the day in the hands of God. So we now started praying in the morning. We start with morning devotion. We wake up as early as 04:30. We wake up, all the children gather in the living room, and then we pray. Then in the evenings now is where we pray and have the Bible sharing as a family.
Yeah, so there are so many benefits of prayer, most part praying as a family. We've got a lot of testimonies, but I think we go to time. We just shared two, but we'll be able to do that later on when we are given an opportunity to do so. But we can tell you that there are benefits, because as she has been saying, the way she has narrated about our boy, a lot of people came to tell us on what to do in order for us to be helped, trying to find other means apart from prayer. But we said that no, as we are Catholics, we are Christians, and we have to stick to what we know as Christians. And this has helped us throughout in our lives.
Yeah, because there were some people who were saying, no, you can see this person, he helps. There's a Dr. What. These are which doctors?